Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my January favorites for you guys. I have quite a few items to show you, so I want to get right into it. Let's go ahead and start with makeup first, and then I want to show you some skincare items that I've been loving. Let's start with the primer. This is the e.l.f. Matte Putty Primer. This primer has got to be one of the best putty primers that e.l.f. makes. I have tried the original putty primer, and this one actually just kind of kicks its butt. It's so good. As you guys can see, I have dug into this like a lot. It is that good. I have been using it just in my T-zone to mattify that area and also to fill in my pores. And it's just been such a great product for that. I'm just so impressed with it. I still do like my Revlon pore reducing primer, but this one is one that I've been picking up since I purchased it, and I have been using it all month. Before we get into my favorite foundations, I do want to mention that I did have some fails this time. I know I don't usually have a lot of fails, but this month I did have a few fails that I want to talk about. So let's go ahead and just leave those till the way end and get into these foundations. So if you guys have been watching my channel, you guys know that I did a review on this Wet n Wild Photo Focus Dewy foundation. I have it on today. I have been loving this foundation. It just looks so good on my skin. It feels very lightweight. It blends in beautifully. It has that hydrating feel, but I don't like the marketing aspect of this foundation. When they launched the foundation in stores, they didn't provide all the shades, only launched them on their website. I just feel like when you launch a product, that you should be able to provide the product for every skin tone. And I'm not saying that you have to put all, 50 shades out. That'd be nice, which Fenty has done, but it would be nice if you just covered all of the skin tones that are out there. So that was a disappointment with this foundation. Anyway, let's get on to the next foundation, which they did have quite a range of shades in store, and that's the Milani Screen Queen foundation. I have mine in the shade 340. Now, this was a great foundation as well. It went on beautifully on the skin. I was super impressed because initially I was not going to try the foundation because it said it had more of a light to medium coverage. I didn't want to try it because I felt like it was going to be lighter, but when I swatched it in store, it came off really pigmented and it looked a little bit more medium to full coverage. So I went ahead and did a review on this as well, and guys, I love this foundation. I have been using this one and the Wet n Wild interchangeably because they're both so good. Now, this foundation claims to prevent your skin from being damaged by blue light, which is on your phones, on your iPads, on your computers. And it's supposed to help prevent your skin from taking in that blue light and damaging your skin. Now, I could not test that part of this foundation, but even though I couldn't test it, I really felt like this foundation was just beautiful. So I really love this. If you guys want to know a little bit more about how I felt about the foundation and how it went on my skin, then I'll go ahead and link that video right here so you guys can check it out. Another foundation that I went back to was this Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation. I had a couple of events that I went to here recently, and I used this foundation, and it is absolutely gorgeous on the skin. It looks so flawless, and it has that lasting power. Not only that, it doesn't transfer onto your clothing, which is great, especially if you're going to an event. So I did use this foundation. I am in the shade number 8, and number 8's a little bit light for me, but what I do is I kind of just bronze it up with cream bronzer and just powder bronzer, and then call it a day. Anyway, it's a great foundation. If you guys haven't tried this, I would suggest get a sample of it. It is a really good foundation for the skin, and it just looks flawless. All right, so what I wore with that Charlotte Tilbury foundation and what I've worn with other foundations is this Tinted Glow Booster by Nars. Now, I have mine in the shade Tangsi. This is more of a medium dark shade. I wanted more of that bronzy tone on my face, so I went with this shade here. This is absolutely gorgeous mixed with foundation or on top of your foundation. Now, I did use it as a primer one day, and that was a big no-no. Guys, my face looked like a grease ball. It just did not look good because I put it all over as a primer. On top, I even used the e.l.f. Putty Matte Primer for my T-zone, and it still got oily. So it was just a little weird doing that. I wouldn't suggest using it as a primer, but I did mix it in with this foundation, and I also have laid it on top of foundations, and it is simply gorgeous. If you want that glassy look and just that glow from within look, this is going to be that product that you want to pick up. Now, I do compare it to the Charlotte Tilbury, I can't remember, it's a flawless kind of glow product. I can't remember what it is. I'll put it right here. That one's a little bit thicker, you know, and creamier. This one's a little bit more thinner, and this one just looks a little bit more glowy than that one. So this one is the one that I prefer, especially this month. I've been using it like crazy. I do have two concealers that I want to show you. One of them is the NYX Born to Glow concealer. I do have that on today. This is such a beautiful concealer for the under eyes. To me, it was a very brightening concealer. I think it goes on with just the right amount of pigmentation. So it's not super full coverage, but it is full coverage. It definitely covered up my dark circles. I do set it with powder like I do all my concealers, and it just looks really good under the eyes, very hydrating. Okay, so the next concealer that I have absolutely loved, and I don't want to use it all the time because it's more for those times when I want to look like very glammed up and I just want everything to last on my skin and not have any issues. This is the Hourglass Vanish Concealer in the shade Beech. And this has been such a beautiful, flawless, smooth looking concealer that lasts under my eyes all day. I don't have any issues with this concealer. Every time I've worn it, I've had people say how good my makeup looks. It just looks so beautiful on the under eyes. But like I said, I just don't want to use it all the time. And I really don't have to because I have other concealers that I like that I use instead. But I do love using this for times that I am going to do a full face of makeup and have a really glam look for a special event or a special evening. So anyway, yeah, I've been loving this. Looks good under the eyes. Doesn't look crepey or drying. Your eyes just look really smooth and put together. I do want to mention two highlighters. They're from Milani, the Baked Highlighter in Champagne d'Oro, and then the other one is in Dolce Perla. These are two of the highlighters that I have been picking up. I did purchase all four from the line, but these are the two that I have been using like constantly. The Champagne d'Oro is more of a gold champagne shade, as you can see there. Just really pretty, very pigmented. Goes on super smooth, guys. These are just really nice. And this one right here is the Dolce Perla, a very nice like light pink shade, but just so beautiful on the skin. They're very creamy and they don't accentuate like texture on your skin. They just look really beautiful. So a bronzer that I had picked up, and I thought I wasn't gonna love it because it does have a slight sheen to it. It's not real bad, but it does have a slight sheen, was the Revlon Skin Lights in Sun-Kissed Beam. This is the shade here. Guys, this bronzer really surprised me. It does not go on like real glittery or too metallic or too shiny, but it has a soft glow to it. So if you're looking for a bronzer that gives you that soft glow look, which I do love at times, this is gonna be a good bronzer. Now the unfortunate thing is they only come in two shades. So this is the darkest of the shade, and since I'm a medium, sometimes medium to dark skin tone, this is the shade that actually worked for me. But I hope that they come out with more shades. I don't know if these are limited edition or not, but this is a very good bronzer. As you can see, there's like an indentation in the bronzer. I have been using this so much. So yeah, that's a really pretty, slight glowy bronzer for your skin. I have one blush I want to show you. It's called Behave. It's by Nars. It looks light, but it comes off really nicely. It has like a very peachy pink tone to it, but it's more like on the nude side. So you could actually wear this color with almost any eye look that you put on because it's more on the neutral nude side, if that makes sense. But I have been loving this. I picked this one up with another one called Aroused. Now Aroused is a harder blush to use. It's very highly pigmented, but it is a beautiful blush. But this is the one that I keep picking up to use like on an everyday basis because it's such a wearable blush and it pretty much goes with like anything. All right, so for some eyeshadow palettes, one that I really loved this month was the Natasha Denona Mini Glam palette. This is new to their line. I actually did a video where I actually applied this palette onto the eyes. I really loved every shade that was in this mini palette. I don't think there's a shade in here that doesn't work. You know, you can actually go with this color all over the lid and just call it a day, or you can actually mix the colors and make them a little bit more intense. But what I really like most about this is it gave that really soft glam look where you just don't want to have a strong makeup look, but you want to still look glam. This is a great product for that soft glam effect. So I really like that about this palette. It's one of my favorite Natasha Denona mini palettes. I do have a couple others, but this is got to be my favorite. Another palette I've been loving is the Viseart Neutral Mattes palette. This is a palette that I'd like pick up for every day. The shadows in here are super pigmented, so you have to go in light-handed. I don't like the blue shadow in this palette because it looked a little muddy when I put it on my eyelid and I mixed it with some of the other ones. So that's not one that I really use in the palette, but I have used every single one of these shadows, and guys, they're so, so good. But like I said, you gotta go in with the light hand because they are super pigmented. But I've been wearing this like on a daily. I'll just use a couple of colors in the crease, or I'll use this peach all over. It just looks so pretty, and it's perfect for like a light day makeup look. So another shadow palette that I've been loving, and I really loved it in the beginning of December, and then I got sick with the flu, so I kind of went away from it, but I picked it up again this January because I do really love it, and it's the Mercury Retrograde by Huda Beauty. It's been one of my favorite palettes. I love every shade in this palette. I have used most of the shades in this palette, and they come off so beautifully on the eye. These shadows are like perfect for your everyday, but they're also perfect to give that oomph to the eyelid, you know, using like the glitter shadows or the metallics. But what I liked most about it is the pigmentation and the way the colors just blended in so nicely. And this color range right here, you would think that you can't use, you know, some of the greens with some of the warmer shades, but you can. They look really, really good. So yeah, I've really been loving this. Like I said, I was using it and then I had to stop using it and I picked it up again. So I wanted to mention it in my January favorites. Before we get into the skincare and the fails, I want to go over these Fenty eyeshadow palettes with you really quickly. I'm not going to spend way too much time. I'm not going to do swatches or anything like that because this is just a favorites video and I want to let you know what worked for me and what didn't. I will say that when I started using these Fenty products, it started off on a bad note for me. I started off with one palette. It looked like a hot mess on my eyes. I ended up taking it off, and then the next day I wanted to try another one of the palettes, and that one didn't work for me. So I was like, oh my gosh, these are just not working for me. Maybe I just need to take them all back. So I was like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and just bite the bullet, try all of them, see which ones work, and then from there let my viewers know what worked for me and what didn't. These palettes actually come in numbers. So I want to mention the numbers that I purchased. I purchased 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7. So I do want to mention the ones that I liked first. So let me just go over them really quickly. The ones I did really like were Deep Neutrals. Deep Neutrals is just gorgeous on the eye. Very blendable, just looks really beautiful. I love this because they're darker neutral shades as opposed to the true neutrals, which were lighter. Another one is the Peach palette. The Peach palette was my absolute favorite. It is a very peachy toned palette, so it looks really nice and peachy on the eyes, and this is something that I really don't have in my collection. So this one I really loved and it looked really beautiful. The next one is number 6, and this is the Smoky palette. The Smoky palette also worked really well for me, especially this glitter shade right here. I wore the purple shade as a transition color and then this glitter shade on the lid, and then I went in with the darker brown just on the corners, and guys, it looks so smoky and beautiful. I really loved this eyeshadow palette for that. The next one I loved was number 2, and that's the Cool Neutrals. The Cool Neutrals is something that I had my eye on initially, and I'm so glad that this one worked for me because I love the shades in here. I especially love that bright purple there, and I really love these more gray neutrals here. So really, really pretty, went on very nicely. And the palettes that did not work for me are number 1 and number 7. Number 1 is True Neutrals, and number 7 is Cadet. I think Cadet was one of the more popular ones that people wanted to get. It's this one here. This is the one that looked like a hot mess on my eyelids. It looked horrible. And I know that some YouTubers were saying you have to really work with it because it's harder to use. I can say I've been working with eyeshadows for a while, And I really should have not had any problem with this, but I did. It just didn't look well on me. The next one I didn't care for was the True Neutrals palette. That's this one right here. And this one did not even show up on my eyelid. It looked like I didn't have anything on. So for that, I didn't like it. These two are actually going back because they just didn't work out for me. But those other four were just phenomenal and looked beautiful and blended beautiful and had that pigmentation. They just looked really good on the eyelid. Anyway, I'm just glad that 4 of the 6 worked out. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into my skincare. I do want to mention this one product that I have absolutely been loving, and it's the Tatcha, the Kissem Lip Mask. This was gifted to me by my friend Jules, and I cannot put this thing down. I use it every night. I even use it sometimes when I'm filming. I'll put it on in the morning and just kind of let it sink in. But it has been the best lip mask for me. This doesn't make my lips super dry, but it does exfoliate that skin off my lips, like the dead skin. The first time I used this, I wore it overnight. The next morning, I had like dead skin coming off. I know that's gross, but it was really satisfying to me because I had never had a mask that did that. So thank you, Jules, for this. It is such a good product. I'm so thankful that you gave this to me because it has worked. Another lip product I've been loving is the Bite Agave Lip Balm. This is one of their new products or reformulated products. I know they've come out with a lot in their line, and this is one that I picked up and I absolutely love. As you can see, I've been using it. Now it does have like a tint of lipstick on the top because I not only like to use this on my bare lips, but I love using it over my lipstick because it gives like that really glossy sheen. So I really love that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put some on right now. I don't know if you guys will be able to tell, but I really, really like it on top. That's why I have that lipstick on the top of it. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it does look like a little more glossy than it did before. And it just has this really pretty glossy sheen to it. So I've really been loving this. And this with the Tatcha has just been working for me. Another skincare item that I want to mention is the Green Clean Makeup Melt Away Cleansing Balm by Farmacy. I picked this up, I think, during the 20% off sale, and then I started using it. And guys, I am so impressed with this. I don't think I'm going to go to anything else when it comes to cleansing balms. When you put it on your face, I don't know what it does to the makeup. It like literally makes the makeup, I don't know what the word is. It like diffuses the makeup, or like it kind of eats it up. I don't know what it does, but it's weird. But either way, this has got to be one of the best cleansing balms that I've ever used. So if you guys haven't tried this, guys, try it. It's insane when it comes to taking off makeup. Okay, so the last thing I want to mention is this Ceravae moisturizing cream. This I bought in the tub. I have been using this on my skin all winter long. As soon as it got cold, my skin started to feel a little dry. I get dry skin on my legs and sometimes on my stomach, and this has kept my skin so moisturized. I just can't believe that I have never picked this up for my skin. I've probably had this almost 2 months. I'm literally like down to here. I just put my hand in there, I rub it all over, rub it on my arms, my décolleté, my stomach, my legs, my ankles, everywhere. I just rub this everywhere, and it just leaves my skin super moisturized, and it doesn't feel like sticky or tacky. I use this like every single day. I'm one of those people that as soon as I get out of the shower, I have to put lotion on my skin. That's a must for me. It's like putting deodorant on. It's one of those things. So I have to put the lotion all over and then go on about my day. But I love this stuff, guys. I'm going to purchase another tub because like I said, I'm like literally down to here, and this has been one of the best products for my dry skin. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into my fails. I have 2 more fails. I already mentioned 2 of the Fenty eye palettes, so I'm just gonna go into the last 2 fails that I have. One of them is the Morphe brow cream. This worked really well for me when I put it on the first time. It blended well and looked really nice on the eyebrows. But for some reason, I have used it probably a total of 3 times. The second time, it seemed like it was breaking up a little bit, like kind of balling up on the brush. And I was like, well, maybe I just need to work it through the brow, you know, kind of brush it through. But then when I went in to use it a 3rd time, it was dry. So I don't know how it's drying out because I actually leave the top on and I screw it on really tight so that air doesn't get into it. So I'm not sure what's going on with this. So I'm kind of disappointed because I really, really love this, and especially for the price. But after using it the third time, it just did not do well on my brows. Unfortunately, the Morphe did not work out for me in the end. And then the next fail that I had was the Revolution Conceal and Define Infinite Concealer. This concealer looks so pretty going on. It looked super, super pretty. It has a pretty consistency, looks very smoothing, went on very smooth, set very well. But with this, a couple hours later, it creped up so bad on my under eyes. I don't like that it sunk into those fine lines, especially when I'm making like facial movements like laughing or smiling. This moved all over the place. It did not stay in place. And I did not just try it that one day that I did the video. I actually tried it another day just to give it a second chance. And this is just not a product that works for my under eyes. So anyway, that's it for my January favorites and some fails. And I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And we will talk to you on the next one.